I conducted an instructional needs analysis for the schools and libraries program at a Universal Service Administrative Company. The request came from the program to review the current training sessions and come up with ideas of how to make these training programs more effective. I started my analysis by observing several of the trainings to get a better understanding of how the sessions are currently structured and designed, and to observe the facilitators. Next, I reviewed the surveys completed by the training participant. Having the information from observations and from the surveys, I then talked to the several members of the schools and libraries team to gain a better idea about what it is they want to accomplish. Conducting this analysis was certainly an interesting process, and here are some of the things that stood out the most to me. I think it's very important the client knows that you are there to listen and to help them find the best solution. Your client should feel like you are there to support them and for them to feel comfortable to come to you knowing you will listen. I ensured to listen to what my client had to say. However, I also offered other suggestions and ideas that my client might not have thought of. By doing something slightly different and offering suggestions, my client realized there are other approaches, and we ended up with coming up with some creative ideas to redesign the training. It seems simple enough, but asking the right questions can be pretty challenging. That's why I always ensured that I had a set of questions prepared ahead of the meeting with the client, and then used the prepared questions to guide the conversation and ask any follow-up questions. The last important lesson I learned is to be mindful of my own bias. I realized that because I did observations and reviewed the surveys prior to the meeting with the client, I had some ideas of my own of what the problem with the current training was. However, after the conversations with the client, I realized they had a different view of the problem, so I had to take a step back and ensure I really listened and asked the right types of questions. Once the instructional needs has been completed, I offered recommendations to my client. The interesting thing is, those recommendations are not always about just creating a training. Sometimes it's just simple support.